Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the March 1, 2023 City of Fraser Regular Planning Commission meeting. Please place any cell phones and other devices that might disrupt this meeting in silent mode or turn them off. Would you please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda item number 2 is the roll call. Ms. Greenia, would you please take the roll call?
Commissioner Barr?
Here.
Chairman Zarnicki?
Here.
Commissioner Freeman?
Here.
Commissioner Keel?
Here.
Commissioner Meyer?
Here.
Commissioner Perry?
Here.
And Commissioner Werner?
Present.
Okay. Let the record reflect we have a quorum present. Agenda item 3, approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda as submitted.
I'll support.
Okay, is there any discussion? Okay. There's been a motion to approve the agenda as printed by Commissioner Farina and support by Commissioner Kyle. Would you do a roll call, please, Ms. Greenia?
Barr?
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Oh, yes, I agree.
Zarnicki?
Yes.
Freeman?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Perry?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Werner?
Yes.
Okay, approved. The agenda's been approved as printed. Agenda item 4 are the chairperson's remarks. Tonight's meeting will follow the agenda that was posted online and has been printed for you here and is available at the entrance to the room. Before we begin, it is important to let everyone know that the Planning Commission is created by the state law. The commission is comprised of 7 members, all of whom have volunteered to serve. Members are appointed by the mayor and confirmed by City Council. The role of the Planning Commission is to plan and promote the efficient, coordinated development of the city for the health, safety, and general welfare of its residents. We are not here to negotiate with applicants or allow everything an applicant is requesting. However, the Planning Commission does have the power to approve certain requests and recommend others, depending on the nature of the request and whether all of the standards in the zoning ordinance have been met. The Planning Commission may also impose conditions on a proposed project in order to ensure that those standards are met. Other individuals seated here this evening are the city's legal representative from O'Reilly, Rancilio, PC, Haley Tomich, the city's planner from McKenna & Associates, Andrew Littman, and the city clerk, Cindy Grinia. This evening, we have one public hearing on the agenda for a proposed zoning ordinance text amendment initiated by the city administration. I will ask the city planner to give us an overview of the proposed amendment, after which the chair will open the public hearing. Each person will have an opportunity to speak, but must only speak directly on that specific item and must only address the commission. The chair will close the public hearing after the board members or the administration will address any questions or concerns a speaker might have. Then the commission will consider a motion on the proposed zoning ordinance text amendment. Agenda item 5 is approval of the minutes of February 1, 2023. I will open discussion on those minutes and entertain any comments. Are there no comments? Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes as printed or submitted. I'm sorry. Commissioner Kyle?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as printed.
Support?
I'll support.
I will say that the motion to approve the minutes February 1 as printed was moved by Commissioner Kyle and support by Commissioner Warnick. Any further discussion at all? Ms. Greenia, would you do the roll call, please?
Barr?
Agree.
Zarnicki?
Yes.
Freeman?
Yes.
Kyle?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Perry?
Yes.
Werner?
Yes.
Agenda item 6, new business, public notices, proposed zoning text amendment. The proposed zoning text amendment will be to Article 14, Section 14.00 and Section 14.02 of the zoning ordinance number 279, to authorize the City Council to appoint 2 alternate members to serve on the Zoning Board of Appeals in the absence of a regular member. Mr. Littman, can you do an overview, please?
Sure. So, back in 1998, the City Council approved an amendment that increased ZBA membership from 5 to 7 members. The same number we still use 25 years later. However, for unknown reasons, that amendment was never codified in the city code. So to correct this, we're proposing the short ordinance that would just replace the existing section 32-221, also known as section 14.00 of the actual zoning ordinance, rather than redline the changes. Moreover, this amendment also adds language allowing for the appointment of alternates, which is something that is permitted in the Zoning Enabling Act. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Littman. Does the board have any questions on the proposed amendment? Okay, if not, I will open up the public hearing. Is there anyone present who would like to address the proposed zoning ordinance text amendment? Okay. I see no one present. I will close the public hearing. New business public notices, B, site plan and other review is the discussion on the proposed zoning ordinance amendment. Is there any discussion? If not, I will entertain a motion where the motion should ask that the proposed amendment be forwarded to City Council.
I move that the proposed ordinance on section 14 be forwarded to City Council with our recommendation to adopt.
Support?
It's been moved by Commissioner Farina and support by Commissioner Kyle to adopt the proposed zoning ordinance text amendment. Is there any discussion at all?
To recommend.
To recommend to City Council. Yes, thank you, Commissioner Farina. Any discussion? Okay, Ms. Carino, a vote, please.
Barr,
Agree?
Zarnicki,
Yes.
Farina,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Carey,
Yes.
Worland.
Yes.
Motion's carried. Agenda item 7, unfinished business, Hockey Land status discussion. Mr. Littman?
Sure. And I might turn this over pretty quickly to Haley, because I guess there were some developments this morning, which I wasn't aware of. But so, to the best of my knowledge, nothing has moved forward with any of the parking agreements, unfortunately, the shared parking agreements. However, I guess this morning there were some developments that
Sure.
things.
So I know this has been, there's a lot of history with this project. Oh, thank you. I apologize. No, it's this one right here.
Oh, sorry.
So I know there's a lot of history with this project, and as of, I believe, September in 2022, the Planning Commission amended its prior approval that the Hockey Land project would be prohibited from receiving its certificate of occupancy until the parking agreements with Fraser Schools, Meyer, Total Soccer, and the Lions Club had been submitted and recorded. As of this morning, we received an email from Mr. Hermes, who I think is in the audience today, Hermes, that as far as the status of those agreements go, they have, I believe, Fraser Schools, Total Soccer, and the Lions Club, and are awaiting the agreements from Meyer. We did also simultaneously, we reached out to Meyer because members of our firm had prior connections with them. They stated that they don't have, an agreement has not yet been finalized with Meyer. And Mr. Hermes also stated that I believe they have secured the Lions Club lot, that parcel, as well. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. That's the information that the administration knows. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I didn't hear the one comment that you said that they received something else from the Lions Club. What was it?
I believe they own that parcel now. Is that correct?
No.
Well, we can ask Mr.
Okay.
Ramirez to come up then. Any questions for Ms. Tomish? Or
Yes.
Mr. Littman? Go ahead, Commissioner Farina.
The parcel you're talking about, Lions Club, is the grassy area in back of the parking lot, not the parking lot itself?
That is my understanding. The petitioner might be able to clarify that further, but that's my understanding.
Okay. And what is your opinion about getting this done?
I mean, I believe, and I discussed this at length with Mr. Andrews, who I know has been kind of spearheaded this project from the beginning. It's our position that the city still has strong leverage that these agreements are going to be completed because the certificate of occupancy cannot be released per the Planning Commission's conditions until these agreements are recorded. And logically, it doesn't also make sense for the petitioner to not complete them because for them to spend all this time and money into a building that they can't occupy also wouldn't make much sense either. But from that standpoint, the city still does have leverage to ensure that these agreements are completed per the Planning Commission's requirements.
Commissioner Kyle?
This is just more of a question for my knowledge. Being part of the planning commission, the way I understood it is our job is to hear. Can't hear. How about now? Our job at being part of the planning commission is to hear different things, make recommendation of things that need to be done, and then either approve it or disapprove it, which we approved the hockey land or the big boy. And once that's done, the rest of it's out of our hands. Isn't the rest of it done by the city? I mean, we're bringing this up now, but it's really, we've already said it had to be done, so I don't know why we're wasting time doing this.
That is correct. I know it's been an item of interest, so that's why it's on the agenda today. But that is absolutely correct. The Planning Commission made a decision. They set forth conditions for that decision, and that's kind of where it stands today.
Thank you.
Commissioner Warnick?
Yes, I agree. We're not an enforcement agency. Our powers are limited. And for us to even get involved with enforcing it is wrong. That's why the building department's there. That's when I was building official, I made sure on every review that I had them sign that all conditions set forth by the Planning Commission for site plan, must be done before a certificate of occupancy can be issued. It's simple as that. This building isn't even near completion, and we've got time. I feel no concern right now. If it's going in that direction, if it takes another couple weeks, I'm okay with that. I think we've got a while still till that's done. At least it's moving in that direction. I appreciate what Hockeyland has done for this city and all the improvements they've done. They could have been out of business years back when everything slowed down and hockey wasn't as popular. It's come back. They're doing a great job bringing more people in and in the city. That's for our city. That brings a lot of business to our city. And I appreciate everything they've done. If we can't give a little extra time, if it takes that, then we're not doing our job that way as the Planning Commission. So my feelings are strong about that, and that we are no way here to enforce that from this point on. From this point on, it's the building department. The building department won't final that, hopefully, unless they make a mistake, until that's done. And that's just the way I feel about it. Thanks.
Commissioner Farina?
I'm the thorn in the side, okay? My question was, can we add this to the activities report that comes to us about open activities? That's how this started, okay? And that's why it was brought up. And because in the case of Taco Bell, there was an occupancy given when all of the building things were not completed. And that seemed to be a trend with things, going through. So I asked that this be put on this report that we get, okay? That was the extent of my asking, so that we could look at it and say, hey, this is where the signs. Not that we are enforcing anything.
Yeah, I just remember hearing somebody say something about we should shut them down, and that's not the way this works. We don't have that authority to shut anybody down.
I don't think anybody's shut
So,
them down.
that's where that came from.
Okay.
But other than that, I agree, the Taco Bell was issued before it should have been, and we finally got that even resolved pretty good. They did do some things, and it could have went a little further, but at least we got them to change those shrubs that were there. So yeah, we're not here to enforce it. We're here to just make our recommendations and approve and deny things. Thanks.
For my clarification, then we actually have up until September of 2023. I mean, we have a year for everything to fall into place, and if not, then the applicant takes further steps if he or she needs to.
Yeah, and I believe that, in my review of the history of this project, the site plan was extended previously, I believe, in 2021. So that would then be another step. I will add, and there was some discussion about which parking agreements were to be completed now with the acquisition of the Lions Club, to which our office advised that that would change the site plan that was approved. So that would have to come back for a site plan amendment. If the Lions Club lot has been acquired, it's our office's position that there would also need to be a site plan amendment at that point, because that's different from what the Planning Commission had previously approved. But that's kind of, and I would agree with you, Chairman, that this is not an enforcement board, but, so I agree with you in that.
And Commissioner Farina brought the attention to me that the date is August 2nd, not the September date that I mentioned. Any further questions, comments? Anybody from the audience who would like to speak? Step forward, Mr. Hermes. Okay, state your name and address for the record, and please comment. You can sit. And
Oh, thank
there
you. That
go.
would be great.
You can sit.
Hopefully, nobody comes out from the back and yells at me about the mic. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Randy Hermes. I'm General Counsel for Big Boy Restaurant Group and all of its affiliated entities. I'm also the current attorney for one of the owners of Hockeyland Arena, so I'm here to address you under both positions. I appreciate you giving me the time today to speak to you. I actually was just at the arena. It was my first time taking a look around. I haven't had an opportunity to visit, and I met with Bud Kowalski, who I believe many of you know. Bud's been very active in the arena and in the community for a long time, and he gave me a little bit more context and some additional wrinkles to kind of get me in the right state of mind before today's meeting and be prepared. In listening to what was discussed just right before I came up here, here are a couple of points that I just want to clarify, and basically what was discussed was pretty much on point. So there's the issue of the parking lot, the park sharing agreements. Initially, those agreements were obtained, they were executed, however, they were not in a recordable form. And I believe that the city attorney at one point required that they be done in a recordable form so that just in case there was an issue down the line, that there would be no, basically no hiccups if something changed hands in terms of real estate with one of the entities that we had the agreement with. And so Mr. Kowalski's been working on that. It's been a little bit rough just because of stuff at the end of the year and then the beginning of the year. He's been having a little bit of a tough time getting everybody together to get all the agreements signed and notarized. But in meeting with him today and speaking to him over the past couple of weeks, he's working on that. Our hope is that the agreement for the Lions Club, the Total Sports Complex, and the one with the school district for the parking at the schools, those will be taken care of in fairly short order. The second issue that I just want to discuss with you today is that at some point by the end of last year, by the end of '22, we actually had a fairly done deal with Meyer to have basically an agreement to share some of their parking space. What occurred was simultaneously with that, right before we executed that deal, was that we were able to acquire the vacant lot, basically the vacant portion that's behind the Lions Club, which is directly adjacent to the Hockeyland Arena. It's roughly 2.7 acres, so it provides a lot of space. When that occurred, I consulted with my predecessor, Mrs. Kandrivas, who I think has been in front of the board before, who I'd also like to say was I clerked for her during law school, so I've known Mrs. Kandrivas for, I don't want to make her seem old, but, for a while. And it was Mrs. Kandrivas' position that from what she'd gone through with the commission and with our outside consultants, that acquisition of that lot should have been sufficient as to negate the need for the Meyer parking, the park share agreement. Now, I should have learned more from her when I was clerking for her, and I should have followed up a little bit more on that. So I took that as, without looking at basically what the actual, what was actually agreed upon with the city, I took that as gospel, and I basically ceased negotiation with Meyer at that point. I told them that at this point we no longer required that because we're securing the slot. That provides more space than we would have gotten from the park share agreement with Meyer. It's immediately adjacent, so it doesn't require us to run shuttles. It's more efficient, and it's safer for our customers and our families that are going to be coming in and out of that lot. And then in subsequent conversations with the city attorney, it was brought to my attention that, hey, no, we may still need this Meyer agreement. And so we are in the process of seeing if we can get that going. Unfortunately, what's happened in the last few months is that they've basically finished all these outlots that they've built up in the parking lot, and I'm not sure, until I speak to Meyer and get a better understanding, I don't know what their appetite would be for having that, basically putting that deal back on the table. My hope is that we can, and that we can just move forward under what was agreed upon for us to obtain a certificate of occupancy, those conditions. If not, like Ms. I don't want to slaughter your name, Tomish or Tomic? Tomich. Like Ms. Tomich said, we may have to come back and petition the board to amend the, petition the commission to amend the conditions to take out the requirement that we get Meyer on board. Our goal is to just get the job done with Meyer. I think that's a cleaner way to get it done. I doubt we'll utilize the space there, I'll be honest with you, for a couple of different reasons. First, the fact that we're acquiring that Lion Club, that property right there, it just works a lot better. It's a lot of space, it's right there, it's natural, it flows naturally into the lot. So that's one reason, and then the second reason being, we don't really do a lot of what I think was termed extreme events. And speaking to Bud, just before I got here, he said we haven't had at the Hockeyland Arena any events with 1,600 or more participants in, I think he said like the last 4 years. Now, obviously, the last couple of years, we can kind of put that to the side, but it just doesn't seem like that's what we do. And then in discussing with ownership and also with Mr. Kowalski, it doesn't seem like that's what we are planning to do moving forward anyway. He said, according to him, if it happens, it's like a once-a-year thing, if that. I know we're having, over this coming weekend, a bunch of tournaments for children, so the children and their families will be there, and that's going to be one of the biggest events, and we're anticipating, like, that's our extreme event, and we're anticipating 900 people. So just a little over half of what you would consider to be an extreme event is what we would consider to be an extreme event. And so, with that being said, I'm happy to answer or clarify to the commission anything that you may have or you may need from us. I'll be working with the city attorney's office moving forward as we get those agreements signed and executed in a recordable format. My hope is, again, that you don't have to see me and the audience doesn't have to see my bald spot in the near future, but, we'll do our best.
Thank you, Mr. Hermes. Stay seated. I think we have a few questions for you. Commissioner Farina.
Hi. When the Lions Club, when Hockeyland petitioned for a ZBA variance, they had that lot from the Lions Club as part of their parking. In order to meet the parking needs, they needed the Lions Club, the athletic club, the school, and the Myers. Now, to say that you're all of a sudden don't need it, then you're going to have to redefine what an extreme event is. And this is primarily what I've been worried about, happening all along, is us being played until this building is up and saying, hey, we want to redefine what it is. So I just want you to know that that's my position, that we went over a lot of things with you guys over and over and over again because it kept changing and changing and changing. And this is not the planning commission. I'm a ZBA member also. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at. So, anyway, just to let you know that's the difference.
I think I heard Mr. Hermes, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you are going to go forward with the Meyer agreement.
Yeah, if I may address
Please.
Commissioner Farina's comment. So 2 points on that. First, we are going to move forward on obtaining a parking share agreement with Meyer. The second point, and this is where I haven't been able to get clarification on it yet because it just came up today. My understanding is that the condition was for us to obtain a parking lot sharing agreement with the Lions Club, which we have. Are you suggesting that
That parking lot was
That
not for the parking lot. It was for that field.
Oh, okay. All right, so that's the agreement. It's for the field itself. So the field was already baked in, is what you're saying. Okay, I got you. Yeah, I mean,
Are you planning on paving that field?
yes, well, we can't I don't think we can have cars parked there without it being paved, I believe. Because I think I asked that question. If we could have gravel there, my understanding is we can't.
No.
Yeah, I believe it has to be paved.
But when it came before the ZBA, that question was asked, and they said they weren't.
Yeah, I spoke to Mr. Kowalski today. I've spoken to ownership. I don't see how we can have people park there if it's not paved. So that is something that came up.
That's a good point.
Yeah. I can tell you this, again, our goal is to get Meyer on board again. I wish I could go back 2-3 months and just have signed the deal and moved on with Meyer at that point, and we wouldn't be having this conversation today. So I will do my best to get that. Unfortunately, I can't force them to do anything, right? And so at the end of the day, I will do my best. And then if we can't, then we'll come back here, and obviously we'll let you know, and we'll see if there's a different way to move forward. Our goal is not to hoodwink the city into doing something it doesn't agree to do or didn't want to do. And if we have to redefine certain things, then, I guess that's a conversation for a later date. Me being the optimist that I am, my goal is to get the deal done with Meyer and move on.
Good.
Thank you. Commissioner Warnick.
Yeah, first off, congratulations to your parents for having a choice of the name they gave you. I think they picked a good one. I had to go with it. That's what everybody called me, so I have to be happy with it. So my question was going to be about the paving.
Yeah.
Now, I know initially it was just going to stay grass, and they were going to have to park on grass, and I always thought that just doesn't work, especially with not knowing what time of the year and what they would have to do to prep it for that, and there'd be times of mud and everything. So having a dust-free surface is what we always want. So now, with the addition, though, of the Lions parking lot, is that what I'm understanding is part adding to it now, adding to the agreement?
Well, yeah, this
Because
is what,
before it didn't.
this is what I was asking Commissioner Farina, and he says the understanding was always that we were going to have that vacant lot
Right.
in addition to the park share agreement that we have with the Lions Club. So we're gonna have both. We're gonna have, basically the ability to share parking spaces on their already paved and done lot that they utilize, although sparsely. And then also we're closing on Friday, literally in a couple of days. In a couple of days on the 3 acres or so right behind
Good.
that building.
I think the agreement was always just the back, the vacant parcel.
Okay.
It didn't involve the parking lot. So that's good to hear.
Yes.
Because that's a nice-sized parking lot.
Yeah, it is.
So if
And
that
no,
becomes
we're gonna
part of
we're
the
gonna do both.
agreement,
Yes.
I think that's a plus then already.
So really, it's not part of the agreement. What it is we're going to have the agreement for the parking lot to share it, and then we're literally acquiring that lot.
Yeah.
So the agreement will be just for the existing Lions Club parking lot that they're utilizing, now.
Yeah. And as long as that's getting paved and
Yes.
I think it's just
I mean,
going to be a
again,
better environment.
I don't want to speak for ownership, but I just don't think it makes sense because I don't think you can. That was my understanding from speaking to Mr. Kowalski and my experience with other towns and cities that I've worked with. Typically, that's not the way that works. Yeah.
No, I'm glad. That's good.
Yeah. So again, the goal is for us, and I don't want to harp on this too much, but it's a big project. I mean, like literally every Tuesday, I sit down at noon and I get hammered by ownership and I get hammered by our development department and our IT guy and our operations. What is taking so long in Fraser? And the best thing I do is I just blame it on Altinia. So say before my time. But no, our goal is to get this done. It's for us, it's a marquee project. I mean, I'm sure somebody's mentioned this before, and I'm sure the commission understands. This is a marquee project for us. The hockey arena itself is very important because we have common ownership with ownership at Big Boy, and this was something that was a big project for them decades ago, and it's still something that they hold very near and dear. And Big Boy obviously is a big part of what some of the owners of the hockey arena are doing now, and so that's another very important thing for us. Our goal is to provide we want that restaurant to be a marquee part of the lot. We want it to draw more people. We want the people that are already at our hockey arena to have other amenities that they can enjoy. So these are all very important things to us. We have put in a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of effort into this project. My gut tells me that we won't let, failure to obtain a parking lot agreement from somebody stop us. We'll figure out a way to get it done with, obviously the direction and consent of the city.
Thanks.
Ms. Tomish, did you have something you wanted to say? No, okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Mr. Jimenez, this is an insignificant question, but I've had people ask me, with Eli's Brothers going outdoor restaurant, they're wondering if the stand indoor is going to stay in place. Do you happen to know that answer?
I'm sorry, if what's going to
There is I guess there's a stand indoor
Oh, yeah, that's going to stay.
that's going to stay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I've had a lot of people ask me that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Your excuse.
Thank you very much for giving me the time and consideration.
Thank you for enlightening us on this, yes.
For the explanation.
Let's not mess with the people in the back.
Anybody else in the audience who wishes to speak on Hockey Land? Okay. There is no action on this item, is that correct? Correct. Okay. We're going to move forward. Agenda item 7, unfinished business. That's what we did have. I'm sorry. And number 8, public communication on non-agenda items, and there are none. Number 9, zoning board of appeals member liaison report. Mr. Commissioner Farina.
Thank you. The last meeting, we met on Smoky Joe's. They were asking for a sign variance, and we tabled that, asking for more information about that. In the agenda, I don't see them on there, so I guess they haven't gotten back with the information that we asked for. So I don't think we'll do that. The good news is that we do have an applicant to interview for the ZBA. We have, as you know, Mark Steinbeck has decided not to be on the board anymore after 20-some years. He's staying since our other member, we had another member resign because he moved out of the city. And so we have 2 openings on the board essentially, and Mark is staying until we fill those. So that's good news, and this, we'll interview this gentleman tomorrow. And it's hopeful that we get more participation. I'm looking forward to, by the way, that ordinance with some alternatives, because sometimes it's difficult, you know, when we meet so infrequently to get a board, full board. So, thank you. That's it. Any
Thank you.
questions?
I have a question, and maybe you don't have the answer, maybe the administration does. Is there a date for Devon Storage to go in front of the ZBA yet?
Devin, who?
We have not, no. I followed up with Devon Storage, and they haven't supplied us
Okay,
with anything.
Right.
okay,
They said they will soon, so.
good. Hope to have them come back, so thank you, Mr. Littman. That's my only question. Any other questions of Commissioner Farina?
No,
Okay,
that was a planning commission.
I'm sorry, what?
Devin Storage was planning.
Yeah, but they're going to ZBA for
Right.
variances, right? That's all I was wondering, if they were moving
No.
forward, so. Agenda item 10, Commissioner comments and items of interest and concern. We'll start with Commissioner Barr. You have any comments, Commissioner Barr?
No, not at this time.
Okay, Commissioner Warnick?
And just real quick, the proposed amendment, I'm excited about having alternatives. The biggest problem has been getting applicants for a long time. And I don't know what it is. A lot of people talk out there like they want to, you know, serve their city. But when it comes down to it, and we're looking for applicants, it's been really rough. And I'm talking for the past 20 years. And one big thing, not that it's because most people do it as their civic duty, they're not there to get paid. But the biggest problem is the pay sucks. And I don't care, I would do it for free. But I know what's involved, and when you're getting paid $25 for a meeting that takes out 5 hours, 4 to 5 hours out of your day, what's that, so making maybe 5 or 6, and some of the meetings I know we've been to have been 6 hours long, it seems, but you're paying gas to go to view the projects, you're taking out your time, and before I had a problem with, they wanted to just send the agendas, and we'd have to print our own, and it was like, oh, I am not putting ink, I know how much ink costs and that in my printer, to keep printing these, and some of these packets are really thick. So I think it's about time, and I promoted this for a long time, that figures should be adjusted. I work in a city now where it's $125 a person for the zoning board, and it's not even, it's a old farm territory, and they get $125 each. So nobody's ever talked about it. Nobody's made a big thing of it because we all are here doing our thing. But maybe that's why we don't get anybody want to be on the board, because maybe in the long run, they start thinking, that it's really not worthwhile anyway, and to take their time. Everybody's time is valuable. But when you put a little price tag on it, maybe we'll get some more applicants, and we will have meetings where there's 4 or 5 people out there being interviewed to fill one position. We can't even get, it's going to be hard to get 2 alternatives if we can't even get 2 people on the zoning board. We got 1 for 2 applicants, and I feel bad for Mark that he's got to stay on when he wanted to be fully retired. So I think it's time to get serious to council and somebody make some motions or something to get a change in that respect. It's been that way since I started in 1996. It hasn't changed a penny. And one board gets $5 less than that even. So, yeah, us. And like I said, it's not for the money we do it, but it does come into play, and it's about time. If you looked at what council people got per meeting, and of course they're elected, but the boards of just go around, do a check around, and you're going to find that even that 125 is low in some. Where I'm at in Oakland Township, it's more than that. So just to be on a board, so I'm just bringing it up because I think it needs to be presented to council maybe, or do something. I don't know how you all feel.
I'd like to say something. I think it's almost an insult when you get $25 and they take off taxes and Social Security, and you look at this, and so, yeah, it's a volunteer, and yeah, you do it. But there is such a thing as saying you're not worth anything. And don't think the whole city doesn't see that. When they see what you get, well, they're not worth anything. So, yeah, it should be changed.
What would be the approach? Can someone tell me the approach? Would it be from the planning commission itself? Ms. Thomas, do you know?
I think, though, and one thing real quick I can say, because budgets are done,
Yep. Yeah.
and that's where it's done. And when I was the head of the building department, we had a budget every year, but they were always cutting. It seems like ever since I took over in 2006 as building official, it was cut. The next, you got to cut 5%, 10%, cut 5%, 10%. It's like I'm spending all that time doing that. I didn't even think about adding to what the board's got.
So we are currently doing budgets right now. They have to be back. I turned mine into the city manager yesterday.
Okay.
And I'm certainly happy to speak with her. I know I did talk to her about trying to get my election inspectors a raise. I did a survey of 17 communities, and we are.
Push your button. Busted.
With the election inspectors, I did a survey of 17 communities, and because of the current climate of elections, and Mr. Farina will certainly agree with me here, it is extremely difficult to find some, and, my chair, they make $200 in many of the other communities. They make over $300, and it's discouraging. So I will be happy tomorrow to ask City Manager Levin if there's a particular process we need to follow for this. I'll be happy to reach out to the same communities I reached out to for election inspectors, because generally I feel they will respond to me. And I can do that tomorrow before she makes her total mind up how she wants to do it. But, if I just ask her, maybe she'll come back with something. I can email you all. Perhaps I will call Chairman Zarnicki, and she may want to speak with you about your feelings on it. I'm not real sure, but, I'm here during the day with her, so if you guys are happy with me taking that and running with it, I'd be happy to do so.
We appreciate your offer.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Greenia.
Yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Kyle. Any comments? No? Commissioner Farina?
I'm a member of the Compensation Committee for elected officials. Okay, and what we look at is the cost per person in the city, you know, registered people in the city versus other communities and what their costs are. And I can just tell you that our city council has not gotten a raise in like 8 years because our costs for per person, when you break it down on a per person basis, is higher than the other cities. And that may be something you guys, a method that your city manager might want to look at is the cost per person in the city. You know, and,
If I can add, there's also fees involved with our boards,
right.
and it's those fees that help compensate. So
Exactly.
maybe those fees.
They may be changing as well. I know we had to change the method of publication. We now cannot use C&G newspaper anymore. We have to use the Macomb Daily, and that is more expensive. So I do know we'll also be looking at the fee schedule, and I'm thinking probably the fees for coming to Planning Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals. You don't want to lose money. I mean, you at least want, you know, you have to put public notice in the paper. You have to frequently mail out to, 300 feet. You have to, I think that the last set of labels looked like it was at least a full page, 33, yeah. So, she is looking at that.
switching from C&G to Macomb Daily? I mean, everybody gets C&G in the mail.
Right, so here's the thing.
But
The state law says that you need to publish those in a newspaper of general circulation. And the way the state law defines that is a paper that's published at least weekly. And so C&G is every other week. So that is not a legal paper.
Yeah, me too.
Yep,
So we're going to get less people looking at what we post.
just follow the law.
Well, I know, I'm
Yeah.
not saying that the city's doing something wrong, but
I understand.
Andrew, it's my understanding that we would fall under the building department's budget.
Yes.
And that the fees for the building department have to be used in the area of the building department and cannot go into the general fund, is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Yes. And that's something that the building department would have to put forward in their budget then, and consider that and look at the fees. And I tried to get McKenna's guy who was here before to do that, not Paul, but the guy who was originally here for the building department. And he told me, because I had done it for Randy. Randy and I and somebody else sat down and detailed out all of the costs that they were spending, when a person walks up to the window, how much time they spend. When a person files for a variance, how much time they spend, all the things, building permits, all of that. And we averaged it out and said, this is what it is, this is what we give, and they lost it when Randy left. I think they threw it away, but nobody has ever done that again to say, this is how much we need in fees, to pay for the building department. And of course, your salary has to come out of there, and whatever else we do has to come out of there also. So, I mean, I think the fees have been not looked at for quite a while and probably should be looked at.
Okay.
So. Job stability, buddy. Anyway.
Is that it?
One other thing, it's Lent. Fish fries are on. St. Malachi has fish fries every Friday, and we've got the better fish back. We do fried fish, baked fish, shrimp, and we have clam chowder. This year, we have pierogi dinners. If you want a pierogi dinner, come down and see us. Come early because we're selling out of those every week. So, anyway, if you are looking for a good time, come on over. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Farina. Commissioner Perry?
None at this time.
Commissioner Meyer? None at this time. Ms. Tomish? Anything? Mr. Littman?
Yeah, actually, sorry. Yeah, one thing I did, in terms of the training that we keep talking about, I was able to talk to the city manager and also with Haley's law firm And we're thinking that the days that make the most sense would be to choose one of the ZBA evenings in the fall. So which are there's like 2 or 3 that we thought would work. So maybe we can choose between any of those, what might make the most sense.
So I believe the dates that had been suggested were either the September 7th or October 5th meetings. Those are still, I would say, tentative right now, but that was the suggestion. I don't know if any of the commissioners have any conflicts on those days, is why we wanted to bring it up, just to see your thoughts, if anyone had any conflicts on those dates.
I'm sorry, October 7th?
They were looking at the meeting dates of September 7th or October 5th.
Uh-oh.
No.
We won't say what. Just different year.
There we go.
There you go. Now question.
No, it's all good.
I personally would prefer October 5th, but that's
Okay.
personal preference. I have a cottage that I like to go up to. So,
I don't have my calendar for any conflicts, so I'm easy. And those are actual ZBA meeting dates.
Those
It would
are.
be after the meeting itself? It would be,
That still has not worked out yet. I think we just kind of wanted to put some dates out there and ensure that there weren't any conflicts.
September 4th, Labor Day?
That's a great question.
Probably, yes.
Probably.
Yeah, because we have a meeting on the 6th.
So that would probably make more sense to do the October meeting, just
Yeah,
because of
October.
Labor Day.
Yep.
anything else, Mr. Littman?
No, I think that's it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the update, Ms. Greenio. Do you have anything?
Nothing, thank you.
Oh, leave it to the chair. She has a lot. I'm sorry. Wanted to thank Ms. Warren. 33-180 Groesbeck, when I was asking about the retail center with the occupants within that corner next to Dairy Queen, and Ms. Warren got back with me and said the occupancy is A-okay. So Kathy lay off is what she was telling me, right? Mr. Littman, the planning and zoning report, that looking forward paragraph, and I know I asked you at the last meeting, do you have any update on that? I have to find my report
Looking
here.
forward as to
It's
any
on the
other
page
matters.
here, looking forward, the MEDC, the redevelopment, economic development activity, the food truck ordinance, if we were going to do something in the sidewalk program. Do you have any update on those items?
Well, so in terms of the sidewalk program, I was talking to our engineer, Mike Vigneron. He said that, this is what he wrote back to me, he said there is currently no active sidewalk program, but City Council is looking at various options to fund sidewalk and pathway projects, along with other road projects across the city. But, so he did say there's currently no active sidewalk program. On those other items, no, I do not have any updates on the other items.
Okay, I ask that you kind of proceed on them, please, thank you. The city website, I brought this to the attention at our last meeting, that the planning commissioners need to be updated on the city website. Commissioner, Meyer was appointed almost a year ago, and her name still is not on the website. So, and I think that's it. I do have a note for myself. If all my pre-surgery tests say that I can go, I will be going for surgery on April 3rd, which is the date of our next meeting. So Commissioner Perry, you're going to be vice chair that evening, unless you hear otherwise, so, but as far as I know, I will not be at that meeting. And that is it,
I'm conducting the meeting.
yes.
How, is there like a guideline I go, okay.
I'll forward everything to you.
This will be interesting, thank you.
Don't pick that day to get sick.
Can I ask a question, your comment about the sidewalk program?
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Lippman? The master plan calls out for sidewalks to be put throughout the city. And you said there was no current sidewalk program?
Well, this is what I asked the engineer this morning, and that was his response.
Okay, because the city council did vote to adopt the master plan. I'm right, correct?
Sure.
Okay. I'm just wondering, because that's been a question of mine for a long time, and I thank Commissioner Zarnik for bringing it up. Is it, in some areas, it's very unsafe in Fraser. Yeah, Hayes. My wife has fell off her bike going on the gravel in Hayes, and other people have almost been hit by cars, because there's no sidewalk or anything down Hayes. And then where Warfields is, where the golf course is. And I know that they just put sidewalks in where the library, the Fruhoff, down Fruhoff. And I asked why the residents had to pay there, and they said the city opted to pay for that. So I guess there has to be some kind of logic. I know when I bought my lot, I had to put a sidewalk in. So there must be some kind of sidewalk program someplace.
There was always a rotating program, and it's supposed to be per the, what's the organization? The Michigan organization that that wants that done. I'm just drawing a blank for that, but
American Disabilities Act?
no, it's not that. It's something for every city. But it is a rotating program, it's supposed to be, and I remember it had to be like every 4 years or something. And so there's some state requirements, I think, to maintain a program over a certain amount of time. I'm drawing a blank for all the specifics of it and what it is. So I know there's our duty. There was also, though, back in the 2000s where the economy changed and the program got scrapped because people were complaining. Because they got to pay for it. We get a good price, the city gets a good price because you get a contractor and they know they're going to have all these to do, so they give you a good price. With concrete going up like crazy and things, it's probably hard to even get any price even. But it's something that they stopped right then, and it hasn't even come back up, and I can't believe it because of that organization, whatever it is, they monitor, and so there is some things that need to be probably, Mike Vigneron knows all that stuff, so I'm sure they're avoiding it. And it is, because you got the residents don't want to pay. But it's their sidewalks that are causing a trip hazard. So it's just something that needs to be still out and looked at, I'm sure.
Mr. Lippman, can you add that onto your list of items to report back to us at the next meeting?
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other comments? And if not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support? Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Kyle and support by Commissioner Meyer to adjourn the meeting. Can we do a roll call, Ms. Greenia?
I didn't hear you, did you?
A roll call?
I'm so sorry. See, I told you. I was good until the very end. I apologize.
Not a
Barr?
problem.
Yes.
Zarnicki?
Yes.
Farina? Kyle?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Perry?
Yes.
Warnock?
Yes.
Motion carried. Meeting's adjourned. 8 p.m., 8:02 p.m.